Call the Manager of Opposition Business.
Thanks very much, Mr Speaker. Some of the longest 10 minutes the parliament's ever been through. 10 minutes, and the backbench is still there. I haven't heard them for so long. That speech cleared the public galleries, tranquillised the backbench. Who would have thought we'd get to the point in question time when the toughest question you could ask a Prime Minister is, what is your government's tax policy? Who would have thought that would have been the tough one? He'd say, oh, why didn't they think of that in PMO? Why didn't they come up with an answer? What is the government's tax policy? And we get to a situation where we have a resolution dealing with it, and what does he talk about? How do you change the voting rules for the Senate? We have a government that has failed every test it set for itself. They said they'd deal with the excesses of negative gearing. Dead. They said they'd never increase super tax. That's dead. They said they'd never increase tobacco excise. That's now dead. They said they would increase the GST. That's been shelved for now. They said that they would cut personal income taxes. That's now dead. We now have a situation every day they get closer and closer to the 2014 budget brought down by the people they claim to be an alternative to. Be warned, any time you hear someone from over that side say they are passionate about an issue, the issue is doomed. The issue is doomed. He was passionate about the Republic. Doomed. He was passionate about marriage equality. Doomed. This guy over here was passionate about dealing with bracket creep. Doomed. Gone. As long as they are passionate about climate change. Doomed. As long as they say they believe in something, be guaranteed they'll fly the kite and then they'll cut the little cord that the kite's flying on and watch it blow away. Every chance they get where people think maybe they're going to stand for something, this Prime Minister then comes in and shows the only leadership he's capable of, to stand for nothing. Even on the most simple issue, in the Senate during this same question time, the Finance Minister was asked, when will the budget be? He stood up and agreed it would be on the 10th of May. This Prime Minister, first question, asked what will the date for the budget be. He said March 16. That's today. That's today. Yesterday, the Leader of the House, you did. Yesterday, the Leader of the House was off briefing the crossbench saying it was going to be on the 3rd of May. We heard from so we've got 3 dates. 3 dates for the nation's budget. And I've got to say the concept of it being today is just as plausible as anything else the Prime Minister's been offering in this parliament. What we have is somebody who created so much hope among a lot of people that the nation's debate, at least, whether you agreed with him or disagreed with him, the debate of the nation would improve when he became Prime Minister. And since then, you can find debate, but it's him disagreeing with himself on a daily basis. He gets up in question time, he asks himself questions, he does an interview, he argues with what Malcolm said the day before. And I've got to say, you're doing really well in the debate. It's riveting television. The problem is, it's not taking the nation anywhere. Tax policy matters, but all the tax policy and all the tax debate is being led by this side of the House. The entire policy agenda for the nation, and it's shown as to where the agenda's being led from, by the simple fact that you ask a question about tax policy and the only policies they have to talk about are Labor's policies. They're the only ones they've got. That's all they can talk about. And then, even when they try to get their big attack on negative gearing that they've got in the drawer, every time the Prime Minister gets there and says, oh, but housing prices will go down, we have the voice of the Assistant Treasurer piping up in the background, telling us that housing prices will go up, telling us they'll go up, they'll go down. The only constant theme is that we're meant to be terribly afraid of both. Terribly afraid. And I've got to say, if fear is all you've got going for you, why did you bother replacing him? He was better at it. Much better at it. In politics, at some point, you'd think they'd want to stand for something. You'd think there'd be a reason for being. You'd think there'd be a principle, and at least today we had from the Prime Minister the concept of there being a human right, a fundamental right that he referred to, when he said that Labor's policy will restrict the freedom of Australians to invest into negative gear. It's the first time I've ever heard the declaration of the freedom to negatively gear, as though that's the new principle that they've got, a fundamental principle of human rights, that the government will give more help to the person buying their second, third or tenth home.
The Manager of Opposition Business's time has expired.